You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.
Deep to left field. Going back Joyce. Looking up. See ya. 3,000. History.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble! This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Montana. Looking, throwing in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Yes, welcome back. This is Sports and Sorts, episode 122, and I am one of your hosts. My name is Shane Moore. Where's the Bryman? Bryman? The Bryman's not here today. I am all by myself until, of course, I have Chris Carelli, who covers the Yankees for SNY. He will be on the show a little bit later today at 11:30 a.m. to talk Yankees. But I will also be talking a little bit about the NFL before I head into my MLB postseason baseball. We had postseason baseball today. Yeah, there he is. There's the Bryman. Here we go. I'll put it up on the screen for you. And I am your other host, the Bryman. Thanks, Bryman. Thanks for chiming in. He is, unfortunately, a little busy right now with business that he had to take care of. We will see if he can join us later on in the show. It's doubtful, but I did not fire you. You did not get fired. There would be no way that I could do that. But I will say, you do represent on the show still. Because, I mean, I can easily just go to clips and be saying things like,
Anytime Tom Brady walks on a field, you are well within your right to throw a big floppy on that field.
that's right. And the Bryman knows.
It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Yeah, so we had a lot to talk about today. MLB baseball postseason. Postseason baseball is here. Finally here. You know, the Rockies win last night in late fashion. The Yankees play the A's today in New York. We got a lot to talk about. And without further ado, we got a great show. So let's go.
You are listening to Sports and Sorts with Shane
And without the Bryman. It's very sad today. Today is a sad show for me. But I will do what I can to bring you the content that you need. So first things up, Thursday night picks. We did not do them live on the show last week. On Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football picks, we did not do them on the show on Monday. Unfortunately, because we didn't have enough time. We ran out of time. But we did do the picks through text right after the show because Brian was like, oh, we forgot to do our picks. Okay, well, we did them anyway. We both picked the Chiefs to win, but I will get into this a little bit. First up, Pat Mahomes the Clown. He don't mess around. The Chiefs came back in this game and won it 27-23 with Mahomes the Clown leading the charge. Patrick Mahomes D. Clown is not only putting up MVP-type numbers this year and teaching a class on how to quarterback in this league, but he is also doing some things that a lot of quarterbacks in this league just cannot do. They cannot physically do this. He pulled a Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, throwing with his opposite hand while being hunted down by Von Miller. The defensive monster, Von Miller, was calm, cool, chucked it with his left hand. I think he picked up a first down there. I mean, that was next level stuff that not every quarterback in this league can do. And then you couple that with his cannon of his arm, his dominant arm, scramble ability, accuracy. He is taking these little children to school. I mean, he has completed 65% of his passes, 14 touchdowns, zero 0 interceptions. This is video game type stuff. It's like when I used to play Tecmo Bowl with Scramblin' Randall Cunningham. It's just incredible to watch. And it will be interesting to see if he can keep this up the whole year. I mean, do you guys think that he can keep this up the whole year? Do you think that he can keep this up from start to finish? Do you think he can honestly continue to school these little children and show them the light? I say he absolutely can, but not quite at this level, of course. He will come back to earth a little bit, but the Chiefs are definitely a better quarterback with him than they were with Alex Smith for sure. I think that has been proven, and most importantly, I think that me and Brian were really gunning for Patrick Mahomes to come out and be the starter last year. And obviously it paid dividends to hold him back and keep him on the sidelines for a full season to watch Alex Smith. And Alex Smith is very good at taking care of the ball. Not a lot of turnovers. But Patrick Mahomes is a different beast. And he watched that. He has been taking care of the ball. And on top of that, still taking risks. And he's been taking calculated risks, which has been helping him play at this high level. And the one thing I have to say about him is this.
Hold me, 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 hold me.
What have you done to the children?
I've shown them the light.
That's what he has done. He has shown the league the light. That's for sure. These little children that are all playing around him, he has shown them the light. All right, so we both picked them, I believe, I don't remember the exact score that we picked. Brian's was like 31-16. Mine was like 37-28, something along those lines. And we each got a win last week. So I didn't mark it on the board yet. I'll do it right now. And that gives me 7 total victories this year. The Bryman is leading the charge here. He has 10. He has reached double digits so far. So we will do our Thursday night picks. Brian, you can put them in the comments here if you want. Colts versus Patriots in New England. The Colts are getting anywhere from 10 to 10.5 points in this game, and I believe rightfully so. The Patriots are back with all of their weapons. Thursday night football. Edelman's back, but it'll be kind of interesting to see how he physically is after suffering that ACL tear last year, before the season started, because that will be the biggest hurdle for him, especially early on. But I don't expect it to be much of an issue, particularly in this first game against the Colts, because their defense is just not all that great. Plus, he has 2 other very good pass catchers in Gronk and Gordon. So I think that these guys will get a lot of one-on-one matchups, which will benefit them a lot. And most of all, it will benefit Brady, who will be dinking and dunking all day. And then, of course, he's going to light you up occasionally with that long ball, that good deep ball that he throws. And he's going to hit probably, anybody. He could hit Gordon. He could hit Edelman. He could hit Dorsett. He could hit any of those guys. Patterson, he could hit any of those guys with a long ball at any given time, but he's just going to light it up. All right. So I did not fire Brian. Why they stop? Should I fire Brian? That's, I think, the bigger question. Joe, do you think I should fire Brian? Am I doing okay? Am I doing all right? What do you think? Keith Sherry wants something about Dez resigning. ? Dallas ? There's not much to talk about with Dallas. We are going to get into some serious football talk on Saturday morning's show when the Bryman is back. He will be back, and we will be talking about that. See, Joe, what you didn't realize, I was just using Brian to get into that text group, and then I let him go. As soon as all the leverage was gone, I let him go. So, of course, he's got, there we go, Brian Cashman. Yes, fire him. Of course. All right, so I'm going to get into some baseball talk in just a little bit. We have Chris Carelli coming on in a little while as well. He covers the Yankees for SNY. We'll have him on, and we're going to have a couple questions for him just to kind of fire some off, get a different opinion. Someone who actually focuses on the Yankees 100%. I mean, I do too, but he might have a different opinion than us for sure. Because there's a lot of interesting things that happened. I know on that Yankee text group that we are a part of, people were kind of freaking out a bit when they announced Severino, but we'll talk about that in just a little bit. All right. So as I was saying before with the Patriots and the Colts, I do expect the Colts to put up some numbers against this Patriots defense because their defense is just not that good. And Andrew Luck, besides that one throw on 4th down in overtime last week, besides that, he was really good. And the Patriots have slow cornerbacks, and I will likely not be able to there's a lot of baseball coming up. I'm going to try and follow this game. It's not really that important to me because it's playoff baseball right now. And this is a game that I don't really think has much playoff implications. I think that the Colts are not that good of a team. They will be better the second half of this year, but they're not a playoff team, in my opinion. They weren't at the beginning of the season. So I think that these corners will not be able to keep up with T.Y. Hilton. The Patriots, I believe, are great against tight ends this year. So Eric Ebron, they shouldn't have much of a problem with him. He shouldn't have a very big game, and this should end up being a bit of a blowout with a score for me. I'm going to say 37-24, Patriots winning. We are in week 5, and this is usually when Belichick's teams just start rolling. And even though I don't think it'll be as smooth as previous years because of all the injuries and the new additions, it really should start to click this week. Brian, I didn't see if you posted your score, 36-24. Okay, so we are very close. I have 37-24. You have 36-24. Once again, I am not going to be able to catch up to the Brian Man because we have the same picks and almost the identical score. So, I just don't think that this is going to be the time for the Patriots to 100% click, particularly on defense. I mean, this is a defensive. They are very weak on defense. So I just don't expect them to have that all together. Plus, Edelman comes back. You got to be nervous about him cutting on his ACL. His new improved ACL. He has to be kind of nervous about that. So we'll have to see how that goes. All right. So like I said, the Brian Man and I both picked the Chiefs to win last week. I had it 35-28. You had it 31-16. I marked it on the board. We each got another win. It doesn't look like we're going to have many wins going forward, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to catch up much, basically. It's not happening because we keep picking the same games, especially in those highlighted games, the Thursday night, Monday night, and Sunday night football games. I might have to start going out on a limb here, but we'll see. Maybe I'll just have to do a better job of picking my Sunday games. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Anyway, I'm gonna be right back. I'm just gonna play a quick commercial. I'm going to play our commercial, and then I will be right back after this with all the MLB that you have here. I'm going to be talking about the Yankees and the A's tonight in Yankee Stadium, and then I will be bringing Chris Carelli on in about 12 minutes to have him talk about the same, Yankees and A's going on tonight, and maybe even talk a little offseason talk. All right, be right back after this. What happened? That's not supposed to happen. There we go. See, Brian, I can still be all you're blocking me. I'm still having all these issues even when you're not here.
Helmets drop, deep to left field. Going back choice, looking up. See ya. 3,000.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bry Man. 75% sports and 25% sorts.
All right, so we are back. As I said, we are going to be talking some MLB playoffs. They have started. Obviously, great game last night. It ended up going a bit late for me, so I turned it off in the 11th inning and woke up to the surprise of the Rockies moving on. Good for them, and it should be a fun series against the Brew Crew. Unfortunately, it's not really one of the series that I'm all that excited about, mainly because I'm just not excited about the Brewers. And as much as I like the Colorado Rockies, they do have some weaknesses, particularly... I can't even say that, that Coors Field is even that big of an advantage now with the humidor and everything like that. They have really proven that they can take their game on the road and play just as well. But I just don't feel like they have the depth in the rotation as a lot of these other teams do. But it'll be fun to watch Nolan Arenado play in the playoffs. That's really important. Even Christian Yelich, he's been playing so well, having an MVP type season, which is something that Brian and I will be getting into on Saturday as well. We'll get into our MVP and Cy Young Award picks since Brian wasn't available here today. We will definitely get that to you on Saturday morning. Brian Man wants the Brewers, which is weird because Ryan Braun is his nemesis. So he hates Ryan Braun as much as I hate Mr. A-Rod. Mr. A-Rod. He's your A-Rod, which is weird that you want them to win. But I guess before we head on to the next topic, just go ahead and give this video a quick thumbs up, just so that we can get some likes, get some shares, all that kind of stuff out there so that we can get the show playing on the road. And people can actually see this a little bit more often. So anyway, all right, let's get into this. Yankees are playing the A's in New York tonight. And before we have Chris Carelli on from SNY, he's coming on at 11:30 today. Who do you got? Who do you have tonight? And what do you think the score is going to be? That's what I would like to know. For anybody that's listening, who do you have tonight in the Yankees-A's game? They're playing at home. Yankees are playing at home. Who do you have? What's the score? Because Boone said during the press conference yesterday that Severino is going to be his starting pitcher in game one. And that sent, like I said, a lot of Yankee fans into panic mode because of how poorly Severino has pitched in the second half. And to be honest, Severino wasn't really my first choice either. I wanted Happ or Tanaka. First Happ because, if they were going to be at home, I figured pitch into the bigger side of the ballpark. And then Tanaka because he's pitched very well in the second half. But, when it came down to it, I said I'd be okay with Severino. And after looking into it a little bit more, I can see why this is the case. And this is going to drive some baseball fans a bit nuts, but it's actually analytically sound. First off, Severino pitches very well in Yankee Stadium, posting a 2.74 ERA in 15 starts with a 1.04 whip. He Ks over 10 per 9 at Yankee Stadium while only walking 2 per 9. Plus, the A's actually struggle against hard-throwing pitchers. Typically, they do. And I know he got lit up in Oakland. He only went 2 2/3 innings, but it was in Oakland, and flying to the West Coast takes its toll on everyone. So I'm going to kind of give that a throwaway game. When all the analytics say that the A's struggle against hard-throwing pitchers, and Severino had the highest average four-seam fastball for miles per hour in the league this year, that's across the AL and NL, I'm going to have to give the nod to Severino there. And I think the real shocker here this is the real shocker. I think everyone out there is a little bit worried about Gary Sanchez catching Severino. And that was my big worry because Sanchez is prone to letting the occasional pass ball go. It just happens from time to time. He just lets it go through the 5-hole, and there you go. But Gary Sanchez analytically caught Severino the best this year. The batting average against was 228 with Sanchez, and it was 250 with Romine. The ERA with Sanchez was 3. With the Romine, it was 3.65. And here is the biggest number, I feel, for it. This is the largest gap that I thought was pretty eye-opening. Home runs allowed with Romine behind the dish, 12. He gave up 12 home runs with Romine behind the dish. With Gary Sanchez behind the dish, he gave up 5. 5 home runs, that was it. The slugging against average for Severino goes way down, 70 points down when Sanchez is catching. It's absurd because we all know that Romine is actually a better catcher, but sometimes it's all about how comfortable you are with a guy. And obviously, even with all the pass ball problems that Sanchez has, and Severino seems to get a little angry at him from time to time, Sevy is more confident and comfortable with Sanchez behind the dish. And the numbers tell the story. It just, if you look at the numbers, Romine caught him 16 times. Gary Sanchez caught him 14 times. It's pretty much even across the board. And I there's nothing I can really say. And you know what? People didn't steal against Gary Sanchez. There was only three attempts all year stealing on when Gary Sanchez was behind the plate. When Romine was there was 11, and 8 of them got it. So that's a high percentage. So you got to say right there, those numbers right there tell me that it's a better decision to have Severino pitch with Gary Sanchez behind the dish. Now, for the Yankee lineup, it doesn't really matter all that much. I never really liked Didi batting third. He'll probably be there. I don't like Judge batting in the 2-hole, but I understand why he's there. The lineup isn't going to make or break anything tonight. You know, it's the postseason, and it's pitching and defense. That's what wins. So, like, Torres needs to be on his toes. Andujar can't keep tapping the glove before he throws, and Hicks can't let balls fly over his head and assume people are just going to stop running at second. Other than that, you know, this is the postseason, and you need to be playing 110%. You know, the brain needs to be turned on from start to finish. Like, that's just what needs to happen in order to win in the postseason. And that's what the Yankees teams have done in the past. They've always been on their toes. They've made the plays when you need to make them. And that's something that this team struggled with, particularly in the second half. I'm going to go to the comments here and see what we got here. He loves Yelich. That's why he was rooting for the Brewers. He picks Oakland to win 7-3. And he actually, we were posting on this thing, is a Boone-headed move. So it's a good play on words. I just don't think that, I have good faith. I have faith in the Yankees prevailing tonight. He also said the Yankees, let's see, here we go. The Yankees couldn't win this game even if they had Tobin, Donkey Dong Doug, PJ, and Squee on their roster. Bringing it back to SNL with Matt Damon, of course. That was throughout the show last week, or on Monday. But I'm going to be bringing in Chris Carelli. If you have any questions or anything that you want to have for Chris Carelli, go ahead and put them in the comments. If there's anything that you have for me, if you want to, like I said, if anybody's watching, please go ahead. Put your score for the Yankees and A's game tonight. If you think that what problems you have with the game, go ahead and post it in the comments. And then hopefully me or Chris Carelli will be able to tackle that. Other than that, we are about 90 seconds away or less from bringing in Chris. I am going to sign on to Skype to get him ready and loaded here. And I bet he is probably almost there. Let's see. Where is he? There he is. All right. Okay, so we have him there. Now I just got to wait for him to sign in. Is that him? I think so. All right. If there's anything, like I said, post it in the comments, and we will get the questions to him. If not, all right, so I have him loaded. It is almost 11:30. I am going to call him in 1 second. Once again, I have the Yankees winning tonight. I don't have a particular score. If I had to guess, I would probably say, I might even say I don't even think the A's will score 3 runs. I think that it's going to probably be something like 6-2. It might even be closer than that. It could be like 4-2. It could be a really close game, because if they're going to go, I doubt you'll see an A's pitcher go more than 2 innings tonight. I'd be shocked if you saw an A's pitcher go 3 innings. My buddy Max Holiday, he was texting me last night, and we have a little bit of a bet going where I'm going to have to call him Master Max if the A's actually make it to the World Series. And if the Yankees make it to the World Series, he is just going to have to basically, anytime that I say something, he basically has to agree with what I said when it comes to sports. So I think I like that. I like my odds in this situation. Even if the Yankees lose, I like my odds that the A's will not make it past the ALDS. So, all right, I'm going to call Chris right now, and let's see what we got.
Hello.
Chris.
Yes.
All right, I want to make sure that everybody can hear you. Let's see. Hey, Brian, can you tell me if you can hear Chris Carelli? Because Brian is not on the call, unfortunately.
That's too bad.
He is actually in. He's got a work obligation, but he is following online. So I'm gonna have to wait and see if I can hear. Maybe I can just check on my own, real quick. If anybody's out there that's listening, yes, you can hear Chris. Okay, great. Perfect.
Excellent.
All right, so that's perfect. All right, so loud and clear. All right, great. All right, so Chris,
yes, sir.
I had talked already. I had basically said, so far, the Yankees starting Severino. I thought originally he wasn't my first choice. I had Happ, maybe Tanaka, but overall I said Severino is not a bad choice. And then I kind of looked into it a little bit more. I dove into like the analytics side of everything, and I found out that it actually makes a lot of sense because the A's don't hit well against hard throwers. He's the hardest thrower in the league. And then on top of that, Gary Sanchez actually caught Severino extremely well this year. Actually a lot better than Romine did when you look at all the numbers. ERA, the amount of home runs that was given up, batting average, slugging, everything across the board was better with Severino and with Severino and Sanchez. And it was kind of odd to me just thinking about that because I would have thought, with all of the arguing and stuff that they had going on, that it wouldn't have been as good, but it must just be he's comfortable and they're comfortable. They're like brothers and they can actually argue like that. How do you feel about... Do you agree with the start of Severino in Game 1?
Yeah, go just quickly to talk to you. I think the Sanchez-Severino relationship is exactly like you said. It's two brothers who have been living together in a confined space for a long period of time, yeah. and then every once in a while they snap on each other. But at the same time, I think they actually bring out the best in each other as well.
Okay.
So I kind of feel like the connection between the two is going to be beneficial for them tonight.
Great.
Now getting back, I was probably leaning more towards Happ as well, only because of the consistency factor of late.
Yeah.
Severino's looked pretty good the last couple times out, but it's still not, Severino the first half where, you almost expected dominance every time he came out to the mound. That said, I do believe he's the pitcher that the Yankees have that can dominate for an extended period of time in a game. And as you mentioned, the way he matches up against the A's could be beneficial to him and the Yankees as well. So in the end, it's really, I can't see arguing with it. It does, if they're fortunate enough to get by Oakland tonight, it does give the Yankees the benefit of making sure that Happ, who's pitched well against Boston, pitches in probably 2 games in that series, and gives them a chance to maneuver Tanaka around too, and maybe pitch him in Yankee Stadium versus in Boston, which I'm not sure who gets the Game 2 start in that respect, but Tanaka's not been great in Boston, so something I would just keep an eye out for later down the road. But, the other thing is, I think as small a sample as we got of Severino in the Wild Card game last year, I don't think you're going to be able to pull anything from the performance aspect of it, but my sense is that he will gain some value from the experience itself leading up to the start. Okay, what did I do that maybe hindered my performance in the first inning last year? What can I do differently as I think about it today and I'm waiting to get on the mound at a little after 8 o'clock? And maybe the mindset there might be a difference there from one year to the other. And, just the preparedness part of it, I think that he can definitely benefit from what was, the worst outing of his career.
All right. So going forward, tonight we haven't gotten the lineup yet. We haven't gotten Boone's official lineup yet. Do you expect any kind of big changes, or do you think it's just going to be, because I had said that I think the A's, there's not a chance that any of their pitchers go more than like 2 innings. I think it's going to be very likely that anybody gets into trouble, they're going to be out and they're going to be firing with the bullpen on all cylinders. So do you think there's going to be any big lineup changes, or do you think for the most part they're just going to have their typical lineup, with McCutchen leading off, Aaron Judge in the 2-hole, Didi in the 3-hole, yada, 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 going down the lineup. Do you see anything that's different, or what do you expect out of this Yankees lineup as well?
Yeah, I don't particularly see any huge surprises. There might be some fluctuations, in one batter to another as far as, I wrote out something really quick. I've got Kutch, Judge, Hicks, Stanton, Gregorius, Andujar, Voit, Sanchez, Torres. Okay. And the reason I've got Sanchez towards the bottom, which is amazing. You got Gary Sanchez hitting eighth. Yeah. But you got to go with guys who are, just performing better at the moment. We can't look at Sanchez's performance in 2016 and parts of last year and utilize that for making a lineup for a one-game winner-take-all type contest. And then I would think that splitting Andujar and Sanchez is really important because they're both free swingers. They're not exactly the kind of guys you are looking for who will draw a walk here and there. Voit would, Torres would. So I kind of like splitting them up somehow. And then I think for the first inning, the reason I have Hicks up at the third spot would be specifically because if the first two guys somehow make quick outs, which they probably won't because they're those on base percentage guys too. Hicks gives you a third option of somebody that's going to get on base, and the best thing the Yankees can do in the first inning today is score a run. They have to force the A's right off the bat into getting to the bullpen, like you said, a lot quicker than they really want to. I mean, they've got a strategy in their heads as to who they already know who they want coming in the second if all things are going well in the third, and or if Edwin Jackson's going to pitch 2 or 3 innings right off after Hendricks, but they've got a plan, and the Yankees need to disrupt it like immediately, just as the A's are going to try to disrupt the Yankees' plan of Severino giving them 4 or 5 strong innings. It's really important that they get base runners on, and so their top 3 on base guys should be 1, 2, 3 for me.
Okay. And do you like the chances the Yankees have in tonight's game?
Yeah, I think they've got a pretty good shot. I mean, I believe that barring any spectacularly crazy plays, both teams are, pretty close, really, when you look at them down the line. But I think the Yankees just have just a little bit more depth. I think that home field, I don't care what the A's say, it means something. Mm-hmm. I understand the A's believe that they can win anywhere, and they proved that this year with a good road record. But this is going to be a different atmosphere. And if the Yankees utilize that to their advantage early on in this game, then, it could go a long way. I believe they have a good chance. I mean, my primer I sent out yesterday, I have them winning 6-4, the Yankees.
All right. Okay. I like that score. I just said they probably, I said maybe 6-3, 6-2, something like that. The Bryman says that he feels like they're going to lose 7-3.
Let's be thankful he's not on the call then.
He's one of those that's kind of on the pessimistic side, but he tries to think of it as objectively as possible, or subjectively as possible. And when he always does it, he always leans against his team, but he also admits that he loves being wrong. So that's one of those things that he has that internal struggle with himself. So there's a lot of that going on. The one thing, the biggest strength at the bullpen is the bullpen for the A's. It's kind of this game right here is kind of the best bullpens going against each other. You have a very deep bullpen with the Yankees, a very deep bullpen with the A's. two quick questions. This is kind of off the cuff a little bit. Is one, do you see in a tight game, who do you see going to end up closing the game for the Yankees? I would suspect it would be Chapman. But Britton has put on quite a performance in the last several games of the year, except for that last game. That last game was a little bit rough. But other than that, do you also think that I'll get into the A's after that. Go ahead. Let me know what you think about that.
Personally, I don't see Chapman closing unless they're forced into it. And that's just based on how they were using him towards the end.
Okay.
And I'm not so much under the belief that they were doing that to ease him back in, as I believe that I don't think he's 100%. I don't think his fastball is going to be near where he needs it to be a dominant shutdown closer.
Okay.
I think you saw him use a lot of sliders, which is a fantastic slider, by the way. But I don't see Boone turning to him in a game that he hasn't pitched in now a few days. Mm-hmm. That's the other
true.
constant issue with Chapman as it is. But I really think that that last week, once he came back, that showed a lot to what they would like to get out of him. I see him in a high leverage situation at some point tonight. I just don't know that he's the guy they're going to have set up to close. And again, that's if everything's working out right. You know what I mean? Those guys, Robertson, Betances, Chapman, and Britton could be used in all sorts of various roles today just because of the game situation and because they have to win. And you could see some ridiculous person on the mound closing that you just wouldn't expect just because of what happens in the third and fourth inning. But, if let's say the Yankees get an early lead, maintain it, and they are able to start trotting people out inning by inning, I wouldn't be surprised if Britton's the one closing the game out.
Okay. Yeah, Britton, I think Brian and I both agree with you. Brian did say, he said Britton should close. He said it in the comments. I almost think that you kind of almost go with a bullpen by committee because if the highest leverage point is in the eighth inning, you might have to bring in Britton.
Right.
So, I mean, you have to kind of bring in your most, and that's just the way that I would particularly pitch this game. It's win or go home. So I would rather win. Give yourself the better options. Now, the other thing with the A's, this is something that I have struggled with all year long with the Oakland Athletics. They kind of fell off the radar in the first half. And then the second half came along and they played out of their minds. And now that we're playing them in the wild card game, because they were obviously very dominant in the second half, do you see anything with this team that I don't see? Because when I look at this team, I see a very good bullpen, some starters on that team that are like having flashes in the pan, like Edwin Jackson, like Brett Anderson's bringing back when he used to pitch for the Oakland Athletics, when Manaea had a great season, which he could be a great pitcher. But granted, they are pitching in Oakland, so a lot of their numbers will be a little inflated. And then on top of all that, they have not only timely hitting, but they have some timely power, which is odd to me because, like with Piscotty, I didn't expect him to have this kind of year. Crush Davis, you expect him to hit 247 every year, but
guaranteed.
Yes, exactly. It's like guaranteed. And then you also have him hitting about 40 home runs. But it seems like this year they've just been a little bit more clutch, and Lowry's been healthy. But I just don't see the it factor with this team unless the it factor is just the bullpen.
Yeah, well, I mean, the it factor is the bullpen, and I think they were 31-14 in one-run games this year. That's huge. I mean, and that points to a very good bullpen. Points to the clutch hitting you mentioned. They are built very well for a one-game winner takes all type situation because of the bullpen and because of how deep it is, and again because they're a good offensive team. I think they had the fourth highest, run total in the American League. So this isn't like a, team that's, trying to squeeze across runs. They, like you said, I think they have 5 guys with 20 plus or 20 plus home runs. So yeah, they're plenty of power. They do a good job. They're not an exceptional base running team. They're not going to be stealing many bases tonight, but,
well, particularly on Sanchez.
Yeah, exactly. And they just, they're balanced, and tonight they went the right way. They don't need any of their flash in the pan, as you put it, starting pitchers to to dominate. It's not a necessity. Now, if they're able to advance, that'll be very interesting. Them matching up against Boston's rotation.
Okay. And last but not least, one of the things that Brian is most concerned with, and this is what he just posted in the comments. I kind of addressed this. I mean, even though he has the pass ball issues, I'm not that worried about it in this particular game, particularly one, because the way he caught Britton the last game, I don't know if that's just because Britton was extremely wild and he had to be on high alert the last outing, but he caught him well. He was able to stay in front of the ball, keep it in front of him, catch the ball when they were way out of the strike zone. He was able to do that, but Brian is still worried about Sanchez, his bat still being cold, and pass balls. My argument was across the board. He catches Severino better than Romine. He is very, very solid when it comes to the confidence between those two players when they get with each other. And like you said, and I said the brotherly kind of camaraderie that they have. But the Bryman's still worried about the pass ball situation. And a team that doesn't steal bases, pass balls could be issues, because if you're not stealing, that's how you're getting to second. That's how you're getting to third or scoring. That could be a big deal. Are you worried about that at all?
I mean, I'm not worried. I'm not assuming that he's going to cough up a run or two just because, it has happened in the past. It's a concern. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a defensive change at the end of the game, towards the end of the game, because he's either already looked shaky, or they've got a sizable lead that they don't want to make closer, or they won't need his bat. I think this is the key here is, as poor of an offensive season that he's had, I think that he is still the guy that in a certain situation can give you the home run you need towards the end of the game. Okay. So if they've got a three or four run lead somehow, going late into the game, I could see a substitution at that point just to ensure that,
bring three catchers.
Yep, and that was the point. I mean, they've got three catchers. They've got, a guy. They got Wade just to run bases. They realize that there are going to be some pinch hitting opportunities down the road, and that he might end up getting pulled. I totally understand the fact that they might do it. I just don't see. It's funny. I don't see it happening in a closer game, only because I think his bat's that important. And Romine had a very good season at the plate, especially considering his career prior. But again, going back to reps towards the end of the season, didn't have many. So you're putting a cold guy into a game that really matters. I'm not sure how that reflects. So yeah, there's obviously concern. But like you, I kind of feel like the two, Severino and Sanchez, are going to make a good tandem today, and hope go from there.
Okay. And now the last question before I let you go. Regardless of this outcome, whatever happens today happens. What do the Yankees need to do to make this a successful offseason? Got some big names out there this year.
Yep.
What do they do? Do they go after Corbin? Do they go after Manny, Bryce? What do you think that they do this offseason, and what do you think it makes for a successful offseason, I guess?
I think they have to concentrate on the rotation first. We say this year over year, and I was really disappointed with how they entered this particular season from last offseason. And going after Corbin, I think they even consider signing Happ. I would get two strong pitchers to go with Tanaka and Severino. I don't know that they need to concern themselves with CC Sabathia next year. It's probably something they'll consider, and they might end up doing for their depth purposes. But he shouldn't be one of the two starting pitchers added. If they want to make him another starting pitcher on top of two quality guys, sure, go ahead. And that leaves, the AAA depth for when he breaks down, which is what I'm guessing is going to happen. I mean,
he's only going like 22 starts. Next year he'll probably go 20.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to get better for him in that respect. And it's not a performance thing. He actually pitched quite well most of the part when he was in this year. But I just don't know how long we can expect his body to hold up. And then going after those two guys, they're going to have a lot of money at the Yankees. So if they feel like they have to go after Manny or they feel like they can figure out a way to get Harper onto the roster, sure, why not? Go for it.
Yeah.
They can do those things and still stay under the next year's luxury tax based on who they have coming off, like Robertson and Sabathia if they don't return him, and escaping me someone else, but they'll be under. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even with adding $60-70 million of payroll, or close to it. So. And really at that point, once they reset the tax, going over it shouldn't be a concern. So, I don't.
I've had a big case for Bryce Harper, not because I like him, because I don't. I actually don't. He's not my favorite. Like, I would rather have Manny. I'd rather have him play third, and figure out to do something there, because I think he is one of the best third basemen that I've seen play the game in a long time. Shortstop. He's about equal to Didi as far as a defensive shortstop goes. Might have a little bit better of an arm, but Didi has a cannon too. I just don't. The fit right now, I don't think is great with the Yankees. But Bryce Harper, I don't think he's an outfielder with the Yankees. I think they shift him, and he moved there. He did a little bit with the Nats this year, move him to first base, because their first base situation has been kind of. I mean, until Luke Voit in the last month of the season, it kind of been an issue. Do you think there's any chance that that's what they do, is they look for Harper to move to first base and work him there?
I mean, I guess it's a possibility. I also would say that, I personally don't see Gardner coming back next year.
Right.
Which leaves you either with a left field opening unless they decide to carry McCutchen, which I don't know. I go back and forth with whether that's a great idea or not, because he's another guy to me that he's having a great run with the Yankees right now, but I'm not sold on him getting 3 or 4 year contract either. But, if you've got Stanton, Harper, Hicks, and Judge as your 4 outfilders, and whoever's going to DH to give rest and all that, that's a pretty significantly.
And with that deep of a lineup, you could potentially either roll with Luke Voit, keep going with him, and riding this thing out and see how he does over a course of a 162 season, or you could potentially throw Bird back in there, give him one last opportunity, see if he can be the Bird that we all wanted him to be. But it's just not looking promising in New York for him. But that was my take on that was, if there's an opening, it seems like there's an opening at first base, and Bryce Harper did work his way at first a little bit. I think that was more of as a trade opportunity. The Nats were like, hey, work yourself in at first so the Yankees look at you. Shave your face, too. Do that for us. Shave your face and make sure they get a good look at you. You never know what's going to happen, but that was kind of my take on it. But all right. So other than that, is there anything else that you said you had a new article out recently?
Yeah, I published something yesterday for SNY, basically a tale of the tape, let's call it. Okay. Just breaking down both clubs and with a little bit of a prediction at the end. All
right, great. Yeah, be sure to send that to me, and I will I will put it in the description below. So if you guys haven't had the chance, you can check it out there. I'll actually post it on Facebook, facebook.com/Shane and the Bryman. I'll also post it on Twitter at Shane and Bryman. And where can people find you on Twitter?
I'm at Chris_Carelli, Carelli.
And I will also post where they can find you on SNY. I really appreciate you for coming on today. Brian also said he was great. He said thanks for joining us. We appreciate you as always. He wants to get Corbin, Happ, and Harper, and he wants to go at first base. So,
why not?
That would be a huge offseason.
And it's honestly it's plausible. I mean, it's you think, oh wow, that's a lot of cash, but it's possible, and I almost want to say probable, because especially if they get eliminated early, I think you see some reaction.
All right. Well, great. Thank you very much for coming on the show, and we will we'll be in touch soon. I'm hoping we will be in touch soon, and before like the winter break.
would love that. Would love that as well.
I would hope that. All right. Thank you very much, Chris. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Take care, guys.
You too. Take care. Bye. All right. So we had Chris Carelli on for a little bit. He gave us his opinion on who is going to win. He says the Yankees. I think he said 6-4. He has a little an article that's out right now. And I will post that in description, like I said. I will also put it on our Facebook page and Twitter so that you guys can find it, search it out, and take a read, because he is a good read. He's actually a really good follow on Twitter as well. Constantly doing he does Twitter live, like on, not Twitter live, but he is on Twitter, and he posts during the game. As it's going, as it's being played. He gives good insight. He gives his opinion, and he has a lot of good comments in there too that are kind of where he goes a little back and forth. So definitely check him out at Chris_Carelli. You saw it if you were watching live. You saw the post there, and if not, I will have his Twitter handle. You can just click on it in the description if you're following it on iTunes. Other than that, that's pretty much it for the show. There's not much else to talk about. I am Shane Moore. You can find me on Twitter at Einhornusfinkel. You can find the show at... No, not that. You can find the show, there we go, at Shane and Bryman. And of course, as I posted before, you can find the Bryman at _Bry_man. He will be back on Saturday. We will be talking about, we will probably split the show. The show will probably split with MLB and NFL. We have a lot of postseason baseball, hopefully Yankee postseason baseball to talk about, and we'll hopefully also be able to get into the NFL. Probably about an hour show. I would say probably 20-30 minutes baseball, 20-30 minutes NFL. We're going to be giving you the MVP. We'll give you our Cy Young choices for this past year, and then we will dive into the postseason, and then we will head on over to the NFL, because postseason takes precedence, baby. It always takes precedence. And I might even reach out to Brandon Blaine, the Blaine, and see if he wants to come on to maybe give a little talk about some football. Maybe have a guest on, give his picks for the week. Maybe we give him a couple of games. Maybe we have his Packers be one of the picks that we do. I think they play the Lions this week, which is a rivalry game. So that'll be interesting. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, you can follow us and you watch us live every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Mondays at 9:45, Saturday 9:45, Wednesday at 11, where we go live. And facebook.com/ShaneandtheBryman. I post this later on the day. You'll see it on YouTube sometime later in the evening, where I post the live show. And then on top of that, we also post it on podcasts, audio only. You can find it on iTunes, iHeartRadio, all those places. Tune in anywhere that podcasts are played, pretty much, except for, what was it? Spotify? I think we're not on Spotify anymore. But other than that, we're everywhere, pretty much everywhere. And if you can't find it there, you can always find us at www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com, and check us out there. So thank you again for listening. Appreciate it. Thanks, wife, for letting me know that I did okay. Great discussion with the guests. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. My love. I don't know what that was, but that's apparently my love for you. Other than that, signing off. See you later, Bryman. Good luck with your meeting. Hope it went well. And I hope this solo show, went okay. My blood sugar's rising through I must have been stressed during the show. Blood sugar's rising. It's going through the roof. All right. See you later. Bye. I need the Bryman sign off. Come on, stay classy, Planet Globe. Where is it? I'm waiting. It's all on you, buddy. I hope you're still listening. We literally have no longer than 40 seconds left. You're killing me. You're killing me. Please? All right. I'll do it for him. Stay classy, Planet Globe. It's not the same. See you later. Thanks for Chris Carelli coming on at Chris_Carelli. Writes for SNY. Peace out. My cat's in the background. You can find Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman on iTunes or www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com.